Hi, I'm Julie Plowman. I'm an attorney of counsel to Garlo Ward PC. I'm here today to talk just a bit about some of the challenges that business owners are facing in these economic times as we're trying to get to economic recovery, but we're just not there just yet. Let me tell you some of the topics that I'm going to cover today. First, I want to start out talking with you about how you may be using contractors to sort of fill the gaps in these times when you don't want to extend yourself with new employees or with an extensive employee workforce. I'm going to talk about some of the challenges and some of the difficulties with deciding whether a person is a contractor or an employee and why getting that right is so important. I'll also go over some real practical tips for your best practices in hiring and terminating employees if that time comes. We'll talk about ways that you can reduce your risk of EEOC claims, of wrongful termination claims, and other types of litigation that have become common for business owners. Another topic that we'll cover today is how you can handle issues of the Texas unemployment compensation system. You may get a claim for unemployment, and I'll tell you some of the basic steps of how you can protect your business and have the best chance for success if you believe that claim is unjustified. We'll also talk about some of the requirements of the Texas Payday Act to make sure that you have the best chance for compliance there. Again, the topic today is really running your business and dealing with your workforce during these challenging times. Many business owners find that if they do not feel financially comfortable hiring employees, or they simply don't feel that they have enough work for a full-time person, many times business owners will find that a contractor fits exactly their needs. Now, why is it so important to treat contractors as contractors and employees as employees? One answer that you may be most concerned with is that the IRS feels it's important. If you are treating someone as a contractor and not an employee, then your tax withholding obligations change significantly, and that means if you have a contractor, you are not collecting certain federal and state taxes that would then be placed in reserve for that person. The IRS has taken on renewed interest in this area as well as the states, and that means they are affirmatively looking for violations of this area of classifying a contractor as an employee or vice versa. So it's an area that's becoming more and more common for us to hear from our clients. Now, the IRS used to have a 20-step test of questions that they would look at to decide who's a contractor and who's an employee. In 2006, Congress said, please, let's simplify this. Let's make it easier for business owners to understand. So now it's been revised into a slightly simpler test, and there are three main areas that the IRS would look at in deciding whether someone's a contractor or an employee. Those three areas are behavioral control, financial control, and what type of relationship was intended between the business and the worker. Now, the general definition that the IRS uses is that a person performing work for your business is an independent contractor if the business owner controls only the result of the work and not the process. That means you don't have a say as to how that work gets accomplished, only what your end result is. So the first area that the IRS would look at would be behavioral control. And this is what I mentioned a few minutes ago, that the IRS will be looking at who really directs that person in how they get their work done. In a traditional employee-employer role, you'll see the employee getting daily instruction from the employer about how to do the task at hand. In an independent contractor relationship, that's not true at all. The business may not even see this contractor on a daily basis because the contractor is the one deciding how the work gets done, where it gets done, and when it gets done. within a certain framework provided by the contractor. So, for example, a hiring company may simply say, I need these spreadsheets generated and I need a full analysis of this issue by 2 weeks from Friday. And that may be the only interaction that they have except for follow-up questions. In an employee relationship, you'd be closely working with that worker, telling them how to do the analysis, exactly what data to use, where to get it. It would be a much closer relationship. So that's an idea of what behavioral control means. Financial control is really going to key in on expenses and who bears the risk of this job being profitable or not. For example, a true independent contractor is going to bear the financial risk that's involved in the work. That means the independent contractor is going to foot the bill for any expenses that are involved. The independent contractor is going to set the fee that is charged, and whether that ends up being profitable work or not is on the independent contractor and not on the business owner. So some of the things that the IRS would be looking for would be how much has the worker invested to be able to provide these services? Has the worker bought his own equipment? Has the worker provided his own training to become qualified to do this work? Or has the business sent the person to training, paid for the bills, paid for expenses such as mileage, meals, any supplies needed to accomplish the work? If the business owner has footed the bills for those items, that tends to sway the decision to this person being a traditional employee. One other very obvious area to look at is how is the person paid. If the independent contractor is paid a set fee, then that tends to be evidence of a true contractor relationship. However, if the person's paid an hourly amount or any kind of set salary based on time, then that leans toward it being an employee relationship. So those are some practical things you can look at under the financial control test. That would be who bears the burden of the expenses and how is the person paid. There are other factors as well, but those are two that are easy to take a look at. The third test that the IRS would look at is what was intended between the worker and the hiring business. And some of the things that IRS would look at there is there a written agreement? Because typically in a contractor situation, you're going to see an independent contractor agreement. In an employee situation, you usually wouldn't see that. You would not see a written agreement except for very specialized employees. So is there an independent contractor agreement that says we are not entering into an employee relationship. We are a contractor and a business owner. This is going to be a relationship where the employer is not going to withhold payroll taxes, is not going to withhold any of the taxes that a contractor may owe to the IRS or to state taxing authorities. This applies the same to them.